Hey folks, your OS Reviews. You're watching our video first look and a quick review of the Lenovo P8 tablet. This is a 8-inch tablet running on Android version 6.0 and has a Snapdragon 625 processor, which is 2 GHz and octa-core, coupled with 3 GB of RAM. This is an incredible value, retailing at under $160. Compare that with the iPad mini, which stretches for about $400, or even the Xiaomi Mi Pad series, which either comes with, the older Intel Atom chipset, you're looking at the Pad 2, or the newer one that comes with a MediaTek chipset and also retails for about $240. This one, at only $160, again, delivers outstanding performance and value. And it's not only the chipset either. The design is smart, and the overall build and the quality of the unit is also very high-end. We'll discuss those things later on, but first of all, we'll say that this wins our Editor's Choice Award for the month of August 2017, and so if you are looking for an Android tablet for under $200, this should definitely be on your list. Taking a closer look at the design first, we have a Corning Gorilla Glass protected display. Again, it measures 8 inches diagonally, and it's a full 1080p panel with wide viewing angles and an interesting array of modes that you can select that changes the temperature as well as the saturation levels when you're viewing back text, images, or media. The top also features a front-facing camera for video chatting applications, and as a whole, the tablet feels very well made, thanks to the fact that the corners are relatively slim and the back is constructed out of a soft-touch rubber material, making the tablet easy to grip and hold in the hand. It has a slight sandpaper texture reminiscent of the OnePlus series. The back also features this Lenovo logo that also dubs as the door for the micro SD card for expanding the memory. This version in particular comes with 16 GB of built-in memory, but it can be supplemented with cards up to 128 GB, which is quite impressive. So not only is this a decorative piece, it's also a functional door for storage. The back also features an 8-megapixel camera with an LED flash that actually produces some impressive shots if you're looking for a few quick snaps indoors and outdoors and sharing them to social media. On the bottom, there's also access to some basic information. Now, the P8 tablet is originally intended for the Chinese market, and that's why you'll see a lot of the instructions and documentation provided with it are in Mandarin Chinese. However, for the most part, the software has been converted to English and everything is recognizable. Another unique feature about the P8 is its stereo speakers. There's one on the bottom and one on the top, and coupled with the Dolby Atmos digital enhancement software built in, the audio quality on this is outstanding. Of course, if you plug in your own headphones, it becomes even better. But the built-in speakers, despite not having a ton of bass, are very clean, crisp sounding, and have a surprising amount of volume that easily fills up spaces without any problems. There's also a microphone if you want to do a few quick voice calls. The top here features access to a standard micro USB port for charging, and the tablet will charge up in around 3 hours. A notification light located on the top here also tells you the status of the battery when it's being charged. Finally, there's just a standard 3.5mm headphone jack for plugging in your audio accessories. So overall, a very clean presentation and design. The tablet does have all the wireless essentials from Wi-Fi, GPS to Bluetooth, although NFC is not on board. You'll notice that the bezels are reasonably slim and they're a little wider on the top and the bottom, and that's because you can hold the tablet more comfortably using both of your hands without actually disrupting the screen size. And overall, it's extremely comfortable and nice to tote around, despite the lack of more premium aluminum or metal accents. You can see that all the controls are also on screen, including the virtual home, back, and multitasking keys, and they take up a little bit of your screen, but overall it presents a very clean aesthetic. So a closer look at some of the hardware things. This is a 10-point IPS display with, again, generous viewing angles, and it does get very bright. Although under the sun, the reflective nature will glare a little easily, for indoor usage, it's completely fine. It's also coupled with the Adreno 506 GPU that performs quite well when watching videos and also for gaming, which we'll discuss in a moment. The device again comes with 3 GB of RAM, which is also pretty good for a low-cost budget tablet, which is typically coupled with 1 or 2 GB, and as a result, the tablet feels zippy and rarely slows down when you're navigating or even multitasking between multiple apps and programs. Finally, Wi-Fi features both 2.4G and 5G, so you can connect to pretty fast internet speeds, and reception is incredibly strong. So in areas where other tablets and phones struggle to find a signal across multiple layers of walls and across multiple floors, it could still find the signal of the router, be connected, and watch video content without stuttering, which is, again, very impressive at this price point. I feel like this is a tablet that a few years back I would have happily paid 2 or 3 times the price of and still be impressed with the overall performance and the quality of the build. Inside here, you have a few preloaded apps. The first one is actually just a demo or a Lenovo key that you can tap on to learn more about this Tab P8 Plus, and it gives you a bit of information in terms of the display resolution, the Dolby Atmos, the Snapdragon processor, and also the capabilities. The 4,250 milliamp hour capacity battery also performed quite well in our testing. We could get roughly a day and a half to 2 days of usage, and that's pretty heavy usage of consistently watching movies and browsing the web with this thing before it drained. So for such a large device, it does perform quite well. I feel like 8 inches is also a great size and form factor in general for a tablet if you're looking for a smaller form factor compared to something like a 10-inch size, for instance. And that's because smartphones are getting larger and larger. 5.5 inches are quickly becoming the norm, and so having a tablet measure in at 7 inches doesn't make as much sense when the gap between a phone or a tablet is becoming more marginal. However, with 8 inches and above, it does still feel like a real tablet, and when you're watching videos or browsing the web, it becomes a very enjoyable experience. Other things on here, you have all the standard Google utilities built right on in, from the Play Store to Gmail to things like Play services, books, photos, Google search, YouTube, stuff like that. And there's also a few security tweaks that Lenovo has baked in, which you can use or uninstall. One of these is McAfee Security, and this is a free app which allows you to create a password, make sure that the websites and apps you're installing are safe, and also back up your product so if it's lost or stolen, you can more easily erase your data or lock the tablet in general. So that's a nice little app that they built on in. Other things include cloud storage utilities that Lenovo has packaged with this tablet for free. Regardless of whether the tablet is on or off, you can quickly launch the camera by double tapping the power key. That opens up the application, and you can see that it's a pretty straightforward interface. It's easy to see and understand. The 8-megapixel sensor produces surprisingly sharp images, and even though it lacks an optical image stabilizer, that means you have to hold relatively still when taking your shots. For the most part, images turned out better than expected, especially for a tablet, and it records video at 1080p as well. You can see the menu interface here is pretty colorful and easy to understand. The side gives you a lot more options for advanced settings, things like turning the flash on or off, geotagging that uses the GPS to know where you took a particular photo. You can change the resolution. There's a countdown timer, continuous shot modes, face detection modes, ISO exposure, red eye reduction, stuff like that. And tapping on the top here, I can also change various modes like HDR mode. There's also a true portrait mode, to landscape shots, sports shots, flower shots, backlight, candlelight, sunset, night, beach, and snow. And these things also do help a little bit, especially HDR. If you're holding quite still and you have a dynamic background, it actually works quite well. It just takes a few seconds extra to process. Finally, the top here gives you a few filters that you can play around with. You have just no filter at all. There's mono mode, sepia, negative, and these things can help you with creating some interesting looking photos that you don't have to process afterwards. Finally, I can swap it to the front-facing camera, and you can see that even in relative dim lighting, it comes out quite well, and it definitely makes for a great camera for doing some quick video chatting with friends and family. Starting with the outdoor shots, you can see there's definitely a lot of details present in your images, and especially with this good lighting, your images are realistic looking and sharp. They're saturated as well. Indoor shots of paintings, you can see colors are accurate, well balanced, and again, the 1080p panel does a great job of showing off vivid details of your images, so no complaints at all. Your images can also be quickly edited and shared to social media. Finally, flash performance under low light also works quite well. You can see these flowers are nicely captured with vivid detail, and they're not overexposed either, as long as you are more than a few centimeters away from your subject. Again, some additional outdoor shots at night, and you can see that this is what the HDR mode does. This is a traditional photo, and you can see it's a bit brighter with more details and saturation, but again, you do have to hold more still. So all in all, a pretty good camera and video taking experience, especially for a tablet. Taking a look at the Dolby Atmos app, because I think it's a good representation of the sound and multimedia function of the tablet, you can see various genres and use cases from playing back movies, music, game, to creating some custom tags. So whenever you're in a certain mode, you can set a default for the volume, such as making it louder, brighter, dimmer, stuff like that, and playing around with the sound signature and equalizer in more advanced ways than you can typically find on a budget tablet. So you can see how this interface is quite easy to use. Let's play a quick demo that Dolby has set up, and it's just going to play back a clip with audio. Alright, so let's exit out of that. And from that quick demo, you could hear that indeed the built-in speakers are loud and powerful. As aforementioned, this makes for a great multimedia consumption device, because if you're playing back movies or YouTube clips, having this nice separation between the two speakers means that the sound actually feels like it's in 3D. So you can kind of hear objects moving around you, especially in action and thriller films, which is quite exciting. Overall, it doesn't have the most bass, but Dolby Atmos works best if you have your own headphones plugged in, and that increases the audio quality even more. But all in all, the built-in speakers are awesome, and you can tell that the display also offers very wide and generous viewing angles, making movie watching also quite enjoyable. When it comes to general gameplay, the tablet also works quite well. Just because the screen is really sensitive, there's really little to no lag when you're playing even intensive games, and again, it makes for a very enjoyable experience with wide and generous viewing angles. On-screen controls are easy to tap and access, and even if you have a few apps open in the background, the games will still perform fairly well. So it runs smoothly with almost every single app that I threw at it, and I had no real complaints either when it came to general multitasking. The Tab 8 does have a notification LED on the top, which is only in this white color, but it works quite well when you want to see if there's a new Google chat or an email that comes in after signing into your account. Furthermore, it also glows when you're charging the device and stops when charging is completed, so it's a nice little feature to have. If we take a closer look at some of the other apps on here, they're fairly typical. They're Google services without that much tweaking going on. Even the utility apps like the clock, you can see are standard Google interfaces that haven't been changed by Lenovo, so everything is very stock. When it comes to benchmarking, I did try to run Antutu benchmark, and it got me a score of around 60,000. Although that number isn't quite as high as flagship phones on the market, this is also a fraction of the cost, and in actual day-to-day usage, again, I experienced very little lag, even when running extensive games as well as heavily multitasking. So no complaints as far as the performance, and really I can't stress that enough, just how well the performance feels and how snappy it feels in the day-to-day. So taking a look at the Chrome browser here, we have the full version of the New York Times being loaded. You can see that complex desktop pages will load without any problems at all, and there's no checkerboard patterns or sluggishness when navigating around. I can pinch to zoom, and the text will also reflow just to fit the screen a little better. And again, you can use the adaptive modes to. For example, I can select the reading mode to reduce the blue light filter just to improve my eyesight as well as health for longer periods of usage with the browser. And what's nice is that these modes are also remembered. So even if I exit out of the browser and then from a cold boot open the Chrome tab again, it will remember the setting and still have the page in that kind of filtered effect. So it's going to remember not only specific modes, but for every app that you set it up with, which is quite nice. So in terms of tab browsing, what I like about Chrome in general is, of course, it's carried over from the desktop variant. That means all your bookmarks can be synced up easily, tab browsing is very simple, multitasking is quick and snappy, and again, the RAM, because it is 3 gigabytes, has enough storage where you don't have to actually reload pages once you exit out of a tab. It's still running in the background, which is quite nice. And of course, you have all the standard shortcuts and utilities that you would really want to access on this version of Chrome, so no complaints there. And again, you can download virtually any app that you would want to from the Play Store without any problems. Other things I want to quickly point out, there's a very basic sound recorder on here that records voice memos using the built-in microphone. It does an okay job if you want to have a few quick grocery lists or checklists that you want to remember. Alternatively, there is a traditional notepad, but this is one of the most basic notepads that I've seen in a long time. It's stock, and all you can do is type out your messages, and you can see that the keyboard here is very spacious. Stock Google keyboard with wide and generous keys that supports almost every language under the sun, and all you can do is record a memo, and that will save it even without a title. So just very simple as it gets. There's no way to actually draw or add a doodle though, so if you want to have more advanced functions, then you can always install your own app from the store. Finally, there is an FM radio that uses the built-in antenna as the reception to listen to a few radio tracks. So overall, that's been the Lenovo Tab 3 8-inch tablet. Again, at $160, I think it gives much more expensive tablets like the iPad mini series or the Xiaomi Mi Pad series a run for the money, just because the screen is exceptional, the feel in the hand is extremely solid, the speaker system is excellent, battery life is very good at around 2 days of use. I had no problems in terms of the general performance and multitasking. And the stock, almost vanilla build of Android is a plus. And of course, Lenovo does have a few tweaks here and there that really does enhance the usability when you need it. So all in all, I would say that the Tab 3H really is a great low-cost tablet. In fact, again, that's why it wins our Editor's Choice Award. And if you are looking for a tablet to use in the day-to-day or even as a backup option or to give to kids and take on vacation, this is definitely a choice that you should take a closer look at. So you can check out more details about this in our official written review, but for now, this has been our video. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews. This has been the impressively low-cost Lenovo Tab 3 8-inch Full HD tablet.